Chapter 12 of the Tale of Daddy Longlegs. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This reading by Lucy Burgoyne. The Tale of Daddy Longlegs by Arthur Scott Bailey. Chapter 12. Good News on a Bad Day. For a long time Daddy Longlegs lay inside the hollow, fallen tree and looked out upon the wind-swept fields. If the stone wall hadn't been so far away he would certainly have tried to return home. But the weather was altogether too dangerous. He knew it would be risky to attempt so long a journey. As he sat looking out of the chink in the old tree, through which he had crept inside it, Daddy suddenly saw a reddish, brownish flash flicker past the opening. "Goodness!" he exclaimed. "I wonder what that was?" And in another moment the same bright patch of colour again whisked across the hole. Then Daddy Longlegs heard a sound as of someone scratching upon the tree trunk, and being of a very curious nature, he crawled half through the hole and peered out to see what was happening. Daddy Longlegs was all ready for a fright. He was so upset on account of being caught away from home on a windy day that he was unusually jumpy and fidgety. But as it often happens at such times, he met with a pleasant surprise. For there sat Sandy Chipmunk, with his long tail curled over his back, and something very like a smile on his face. Knowing that Sandy Chipmunk never harmed anybody that minded his own affairs, Daddy Longlegs spoke to him at once. "It's a bad day, isn't it?" he called. Hearing that tiny voice, which seemed to come from inside the fallen tree, Sandy Chipmunk was so startled that he leaped high into the air. And when he came down again upon all fours, he found himself staring straight into Daddy Longlegs' beady eyes. "Oh, it's you, eh?" cried Sandy Chipmunk. And he looked decidedly foolish, because he knew that he had no reason to fear anybody as mild as Daddy Longlegs. "It's a bad day, isn't it?" said Daddy Longlegs once more. "I'm sorry I can't agree with you," Sandy replied. "I think it's the finest weather that ever was." "You don't mean to say you like this wind?" Daddy Longlegs cried. "Why, I don't see how you dare to be out in it." "Oh, it's nothing when you're used to it," Sandy Chipmunk answered lightly. "I shall never get used to the wind, I'm afraid," Daddy told him sadly. "It blows me about so terribly." And he went on to explain how he had started on a long journey the day before, and how he didn't dare go on, nor turn around and go home either. "Well, well!" Sandy Chipmunk exclaimed. "You seem to be in a fix. But why don't you ride home?" "Ride?" Daddy Longlegs shrilled. "On what, I should like to know?" "On Farmer Green's wagon," Sandy told him promptly. "I happen to know that Johnnie Green and his grandmother drove to the miller's this morning to have a sack of wheat ground into flour, and they'll be coming back home this afternoon." Chapter 13.